Dave Jones, meteorologist and CEO of Storm Center Communications. Welcome to day 3 of the Weather and Climate Summit, Glenn Gerberg Weather and Climate Summit here in Breckenridge, Colorado. Got a little bit of snow around here this morning, so it'll be good to get the weather briefing from Dale Eck, which is what we're going to start right into first thing. For those of you who haven't joined us yet, Dale Eck is the director of the Global Forecast Center at the Weather Channel. And we have prepared a little video to give you just a little bit of background on Dale. Let's take a look.
I'm Dale Eck. I'm the director of our Global Forecast Center here at the Weather Channel. I've been here 25 years. I started out as an on-camera meteorologist coming out of Penn State University with my bachelor's degree. And I've seen a lot of extreme weather over the past 25 years. What got me into meteorology? I love snow, but through the years I've seen plenty of severe weather outbreaks, flooding events, as well as hurricanes, and all of those weather phenomena really grab my interest, including the extremes in temperature as well. This week, I'm going to be leading each day by giving a weather briefing so all of us can interact on what weather we expect over the next several days, out to 10 days, and how the weather might affect us here in Breckenridge, Colorado, and I hope it is plenty of snow.
I'm Dr. Greg Forbes. I've been severe weather expert here at the Weather Channel now for more than 12 years, but I've known Dale Eck longer than that. I was on the faculty at Penn State Department of Meteorology previously. He was a student of mine, an excellent forecaster then, an excellent forecaster now. In fact, he heads up our Global Forecast Center. That's the group of meteorologists behind the scenes that use computers and then their experience to mold our forecasts that you see on weather.com and on the air. So we're glad to have him at the Weather Channel, and we're glad to have him here.
Severe weather really didn't come together yesterday. Only had a couple of reports of winds near the Arklatex yesterday. So still the chance for some severe today with that low tracking northeast. Still going to be plenty of rain. And then as we go ahead for the next several days, looks like a good return to some winter weather for the lower 48. So this is what we were looking at actually yesterday. These were the high temperatures. Some ridiculously warm air up here in South Dakota. Rapid City at 61 degrees. Even up into Bismarck, 53 degrees. So a very warm regime, but things are now starting to change, and we can see that on the current temperatures. There is a frontal boundary that lies right about in here. Temperatures are dropping. We've got 2 degrees up here at Cutbank. It's getting to 16 near Cheyenne. Denver, it's snowing this morning. I just saw a little report from our group back at the Weather Channel saying it's some heavy snow right now in Denver. And it is that cold air that we're going to be tracking into the east, and with it some lower heights, which means we're going to be dealing with some snow as well. For those going out today here at Breckenridge, looking at the current surface map, notice all the winds here. It's going to be a windy day. The winds will be howling out of the north. Temperatures are not going to be rising at all. You can see some 13, 12 degrees here, 7 degrees. So it is going to be cold down along the Front Range and on into the plains for today as that cold air mass makes its way through. High today, temperatures just really aren't going to rebound much, and this is still above average, but it is at least a shot of some winter weather that a lot of the country has not seen much of, but still some mild readings before that front comes through in the southern plains, the southeast, and even in, into the northeast. You can see it's going to be warm enough for rain, but there is a bit of a backdoor front moved into northern New England, and that could lead to some snow or ice as that storm system tracks in that direction. And finally, we're seeing a little bit more in the way of some below average temperatures for the highs today. As I mentioned this morning, they're not below average, but as temperatures continue to fall and don't rise, the highs for today are going to be below average for the Rockies and on into the high plains, but still one more day, of some mild weather in the eastern part of the country before that frontal system makes its way on in. So our current surface map, there's the low that we've been tracking through Texas, brought the severe weather to Houston. It continues to move northeast. I checked the last 24 hours. I think the system now is starting to move along a bit, so we're not getting any reports of locally heavy rain or any flooding. But a good dousing of rain for this area. And still with the warm front coming up and the low moving northeast, we still could be looking at some severe weather. And here's a look at SPC's outlook for the southeast. They got several C-text areas, so it's not highly probable, But looking through, here's the chance. I think around the upper level low, they've got about a 5% chance of some hail in eastern Tennessee. And then out ahead of the front, and as the warm front works north, the Carolinas down into Florida, about a 5% chance of some winds, damaging winds. And there's your look at low percentages of getting some, perhaps a tornado, isolated tornado in central Florida and on into the Carolinas, into the Tidewater. And then, like I said, the low is starting to move, gather some momentum, so our rain amount shouldn't get out of control, but a pretty good, solid 1 to 2 inches of rain as this system works its way on up through the mid-Atlantic toward the northeast. Kind of coming to the solution here. First of all, the upslope and the snow coming through the Rockies today. Maybe 2 to 4 inches in the mountains here. Denver expecting maybe an inch or two as that upslope along with the low track down through the Rockies. Not going to be that big of a deal. But what's going to be a little bigger deal is talked about that backdoor front that moves south into New England. And as that low and the rain comes up into the northeast, it will encounter that colder air. Maybe a little bit of ice, but it looks like there'll be some snow, probably from the Capital District on northeast from there. Amounts 3 to 5 inches through Vermont, New Hampshire, upstate New York. And then as you head on up into Maine, we're calling for 6 to 10 inches of snow as that system moves through. It's a little bit of combination of that and then some backwash snow around the upper level low. Speaking of the upper level low, looks like it's going to dump some pretty good snow. Chicago expecting 5 to 8 inches, and with the wind with this system, it's going to feel pretty darn nasty out there. Wisconsin getting a good dose of snow. Green Bay. Looks like the brunt of this Arctic blast will be out of there before the Green Bay game, but also up in New England and Foxborough, it's going to be a very windy, cold day there. I guess that game is being played in the evening as well. So things are chilly, and with this upper level low that's coming on through, maybe even an inch or so of snow in St. Louis. It's generally going to be light. System dropping in from the north, maybe Cincinnati 1 to 2, maybe a coating in Paducah, and then southern Appalachians we've got here maybe up to 3 to 6, but could be a little bit more than that. There's a pretty decent wave that's dropping on through. So let's go ahead and take a look at the sorry about that. Okay, so here's a look at the satellite picture. You can definitely notice the low pressure system, the upper level system right here, northern Mississippi and Alabama. The rain moving up through the Tennessee Valley with probably showers and storms for South Florida. There's your front right there, your Arctic front, and then behind it a little bit of an impulse. As you can see, it's not really increasing in intensity, kind of decreasing a bit, so not expecting anything in the way of any major snow here, but at least some light snow and a couple of inches maybe. We're going to be watching this up in here for maybe out to 5 to 10 days. Looks like it's going to bring a pretty appreciable change to the northwest and maybe on into California. Finally going to be getting some Pacific systems, and that could lead to a change there. So we'll be tracking that as we look at the models. Here's a look at the radar. Again, it's all rain right now from the Tennessee Valley and Ohio Valley down on through the southeast, and there will be some thunderstorms, a little bit of light snow with the front, but we're going to be watching an upper level low here that'll start to make some pretty decent changes. So here's a look at the current map. So what we're seeing today, we still have our low in the southeast, bringing mainly rain, but this is where the change is coming. We've got our frontal boundary through here, Arctic high pressure building into the Rockies and the northern plain states. And as we track on through today, we see that rain moving up toward Pennsylvania, New Jersey, the Philadelphia area by this evening. Still a lot of rain, and again, we will be looking at with the low here, kind of a coupling of a warm front and the cold front. This area could be looking at some severe and some low heights we saw could be leading to a little bit of hail across eastern portions of Tennessee. So as that, as that storm continues to lift to the northeast, it's going to encounter a little bit of this Arctic high that's in northern New England. So we'll start to pick up some snow later tonight and tomorrow, interior northeast, and that'll track through Maine. Rain mainly along the I-95 corridor from Boston on down to Philadelphia. And then we've got an upper level low here, and then kind of some energy dropping down around this really broad trough. So there will be a band of some snow around this system. Eastern Iowa on into Wisconsin looks to get a decent amount of snow from this, while west of there, obviously, high pressure is going to mean a lot of sunshine, but some cold readings. As we head on during the day Thursday, Chicago for the evening rush hour could be pretty nasty. Got the big trough in here, and then there's this second low height area impulse swinging around the trough that could then, as we said, bring a little snow to St. Louis, down through Nashville and on into the southern Appalachians. This could bring several inches of snow as it moves on through. So one area here, and then the second area here, and this one then will track up through Pennsylvania and upstate New York and could bring a good 3 to 6 inches of snow as it moves in that direction. And very windy and much colder weather. Again, not well below normal or anything, but a sharp change to reality for those who have been experiencing the very mild weather that we've been seeing across the plain states and on into the east. As we head on into Friday, there's that one impulse in the upper levels tracking up through Pennsylvania, may bring some decent snow to Pittsburgh, maybe Bradford, up into the upstate of New York. Cold winds here, that low comes across with snow around the lakes, and obviously the lakes are still warm. They'll enhance the snowfall across the Midwest, while the rest of the country going to be on the dry side, at least for a while. So we'll kind of zip through here, and just basically what you're looking at is a brisk cold regime in the east, snow showers down through the southern Appalachians, and of course we'll get some local heavier lake effect snow. You know, Cleveland, the trajectory may get a little more northerly, so it may not just be east of Cleveland, maybe in Cleveland and up into the upstate of New York. So, and then behind that, we're going to be, looks like all models now are trying to grab a little bit of a clipper here coming in through the cold air mass. So it could bring some snow down to maybe Minneapolis on Saturday, heading towards Chicago, maybe Detroit getting a little bit of snow from this system, and then that's going to track again through the lake. So you go from kind of the upper level low snow, lake enhanced, lake effect snow, and then it looks like a clipper is going to bring some more snow as it tracks on through the Appalachians. And it looks a little interesting here on the GFS. You know, these move pretty quickly, and most times can't do much once they come down out of the mountains, but we'll have to keep an eye. It looks like it wants to try to do a little bit of intensification, so things could get interesting Sunday in the, New York City, maybe out on Cape Cod, southeastern New England. And we said how cold it was, and there is going to be another warm-up, so I think they're playing in Green Bay Sunday, or is that right? Yeah. So Sunday, the brunt of the cold air is going to kind of be moving away at that point. So, yeah, that could be interesting. At least some snowflakes in the air, but it'll definitely be kind of brisk and cold there in Baltimore. So you get another warm up into the plains, and then as we head on through next week, this is Monday on into Tuesday, we got another little bit of Arctic high pressures trying to build in. I want to take a note on the northwest here, Seattle, Portland, something we haven't seen for a while. Don't know that this storm will verify, but at least we're seeing a shift in the pattern. I saw a little bit of a discussion out of some of our forecasters noting that middle of next week we'll finally see some stormy weather for the northwest, and then eventually as we go through time, it looks like some of that, I didn't go out far enough. I want to take a look here and show you on the European model. You'll see it actually starts to bring some of that inclement or stormy weather coming in the northwest. I'm going to jump ahead here. So this is going through the weekend, and then as we head on into Sunday and Monday, maybe the northwest, Seattle, Portland, a little bit of rain there. And then going on through time as we head on out to the middle and latter part of next week, looks like the jet does start to drop down, and maybe even the northern Sierra may finally get some snow, in Northern California getting some rain. So looks like a little bit of a shift in the pattern here. The main brunt of the Arctic air probably going to be staying mostly north of the border, but with it close by, at least it brings the potential for some more interesting weather as we head on through latter part of next week and on into next weekend. I'm going to show you real quickly here on the, look at the 850s here, and I kind of jump way ahead. So we kind of got our first cold shot coming through end of this week, into the weekend, and then it retreats a little bit, and things start to warm up into the plain states, and I'll try to bring this down so we can see the date and time. So this is by Monday, so yeah, there was that warm air heading toward Green Bay as they're going to play the game on Sunday night. And then you can see it is getting a lot colder in Canada, at least when we talked yesterday. The Arctic air is starting to take over most of the country of Canada, but still, at least through, as we go through about 240 hours, it still wants to mainly stay there, and we still have a bit of zonal flow across the country, but at least with the Arctic air closer by, the jet dipping down a little bit more into the United States, it may set the stage for maybe some more interesting winter weather as we head into later next week and then on into next weekend. So obviously the models aren't going to grab all the details, but at least you got some potential when you've got all of this across just about all of Canada and the extreme northern tier of the U.S. So still not looking like really cold, but at least there's some more potential with the jet, between obviously the cold and the warm air. You can get some storms firing up. So we'll keep an eye on that. So hopefully there'll be some changes there and some folks will get some winter weather. Okay.
Just tell our online audience to stick around just for a minute. We're going to transition.
Okay, for the online audience, if you can hang in there, we're going to transition and we're going to do a little bit of some higher end meteorology, talking about models and how to use models and slice and dice them. So stay tuned.